Hello, YouTube. Welcome to my channel, Marriage, Politics, and Sports. Today, I'll be talking about the importance and gravity of a man's marriage proposal. Asking a woman for her hand in marriage used to be so common, it generally is seen as cliche. In other words, routine. Today, with marriage on a decline and on a path of being rare, a marriage proposal is gaining a new level of importance, mainly from the fact that people are surprised and typically wondering how long will this marriage last since there's so much divorce out there. The purpose of this video is to discuss the fact that the marriage proposal is as relevant today as it always was, and it is men who have let the honor of popping the question to a lady of their choice slip into the realm of routine and not its proper place as a place of honor for the lady to even be asked. But first, like, share, and subscribe to my channel. Like, share this video, and ask me some questions, or let's debate it if you don't agree. So feel free to comment and provide your thoughts on the importance of the marriage proposal. Okay? Now, men, okay, let's just kind of move it along. You see, people need to understand that men are the gatekeepers of marriage. Of course, marriage comes in many forms throughout the centuries, but let's focus on a modern Western marriage proposal. Of course, the prerequisite is to, court and vet your woman. So, I have a video about the 10 steps of courting and vetting a woman for marriage. And now, of course, we know that there's more than 10 steps. It's not all inclusive, so you, did- I'm vetting, sometimes it takes months to vet a woman. For me, it only took 5 months. Sometimes it takes years. And so, because when you kind of know, you ask the right questions, you get the right responses, you observe the behaviors, you meet the parents, you see how your woman moves, and there's a whole long a list of things. So if you ever want to know my 10 steps, just as the basic 10 steps, go to my video on my channel and check that out. Okay, so here's one thing also though, ladies, and this is for the ladies. I tell ladies this. It's not this is about the man's superpower of being able to give a woman the honor of asking her marriage. But if you're in a relationship with a man and it takes 3 or 4 years and you're waiting for that proposal that may or may not happen, you got to make some choices as to whether you want to keep wasting your biological time with any particular man. Now, if you get a guy and you're 23 years old and you have a 3-year relationship and you'll break up, at least you're still young enough to get over the trauma, find another guy to move on with. All right. But now you need to have a more discernment because you don't have another 3 or 4 years to waste. Because if you're 28 and you get into a 3-year relationship, now you're 31. And let me tell you, ladies, your sexual marketplace value, it is key. Y'all got to understand there's a difference between how you value yourself, and there's a difference between the sexual marketplace value for the men that you want. Because men place a value on the marketplace as well, and they're looking for younger women who are less ran through for some of you, and for who have more fertility than women who start to get into their 30s because you're you got more trauma and you're more set in your ways. And so men are looking for somebody they can groove with because men are the groom. All right. So listen, let me put it to you this way. If you're in a long-term relationship with a man in your 20s, and it's 3 or 4 or 5 years, what's the chance of you getting out of a relationship without getting pregnant? It's kind of low for a lot of you. That's why we got so many single mothers out there. And once you have a baby, I don't give a shit how you feel about it. Your sexual marketplace value goes down automatically if you don't stay with the baby's father. Because if you're looking for a single man with no kids, who's on his grind and on his purpose, he ain't really looking for a woman with a kid or two. He's just not. You can bell and you could cry and you can say all the shit you want to say. He's just not. Now that doesn't mean it doesn't happen because we know that in the black community, black men, you know, they don't mind being stepfathers, but you know it's changing just like I do, especially for the best quality men. So you got to be careful on how much time you let a man waste because your biological clock is kind of like 20 to 25 years. And I'm saying if it started at 22, I know it starts a lot younger, but I'm just saying you waited till you're an adult, to even think about babies. I'm not talking about the wayward kids who have kids when they're kids. I'm talking about you went to college and you have a future plan. You know that your dating life for something serious is limited. It's not limited, but it has a time frame biologically. Because anywhere in your 40s, your fertility is starting to definitely close down, and you know it. That's not true for men. So you got to understand that. So don't let no man waste your time. A man who loves you, a man who wants to give you his four P's, and I'll talk about that sooner or later, he's not going to have to take 4 or 5 years to figure that shit out. So you got to be careful with that. Some guys will string your ass along until they find somebody else. And that's true. And that's just one man telling you what the game is. So you either trust that and believe that or you don't. But I'm letting you know a little bit of story. You don't have the time to waste. You can get the younger you are, a little bit more time. But when you get older, you don't have to, you just don't have the time to waste. Okay. The other thing is, uh, you know, listen, I just went through the whole thing, just understand that. All right. So anyway, here's another thing to consider. All right, men. Okay, this is another thing I want you to consider, men. Listen, I consider the marriage proposal a man's last superpower, right? And that women should be honored to be asked to be your wife. If this is regardless of whether she says yes or no, fella, you must realize that she's not doing you a favor. And here's why. Okay. Let's assume you're a man, you're a serious man, and you're prepared to take on a wife and build a family. Proposing to a woman for a lifetime commitment, right? You're giving her all you have to give, your four P's, right? You're giving her these four P's for a lifetime. Provision. That's money, finances, comfort, peace, prosperity, you know, worry-free living. That's your provision. Now she could have her own money, so the provision might vary from just being money, but you gotta cover her, right? You're willing to give that. Problem solve. You're willing to problem solve the issues that might have her a little cloudy, but you're the unemotional, logical one. At least you should be as a man on his grind. You bring order to her chaos, right? And her chaos is not a bad thing, but women are emotional. They need emotional stability. And let me tell you, it's got to be men who provide that. Men who are raised properly, who understand, or learned on the job. That if you're the one who has to be stable and to bring that order to her chaos, you got to give the family direction. You have to be the leader. And let me tell you, fellas, you don't ask the woman whether you could lead her or not. She's going to either follow you or she's not. And you just assume the leadership role in your relationship. If you got to ask, then you ain't the leader. You just take that role. And there'll be women out here trying to wrestle that shit from you. But it depends on you taking that in terms of, well, you might have an assertive woman, and every so often she might push back. But you have to understand that is she doing it to be a competition or she really needs to have some questions answered. You got to be able to discern that, and you don't have to be intimidated by that because good leaders don't mind having other leaders around them, right? Even though those leaders, if she's your wife, has to know her place. And let me tell you, the first time she calls you her partner, you need to correct it because you ain't no goddamn partner. You're a husband. So just understand that. Procreation, right? Children, this is the legacy, right? You want to have your own children. You want to be able to raise your kids so your bloodline can continue. So you need a wife and a woman who's going to be true to that. And you want to true to that. So you're going to give them procreation. You're going to have the household, and you're going to provide this procreation for a lifetime. You're going to raise the kids together. Even when they're out of the house, you got to cover your daughters and you got to raise your sons to be men. And of course, protection, sometimes from herself, sometimes from the outside world. And protection these days takes on a different value other than just violence, right? Because we do live in a society with law and order, but you got to be willing to step in when you need to, right? In other words, you're going to give this woman your all, right? And if you're going to give her your all, and so it's okay for you to extract what is she going to give back to you. And it's not just this euphemisms of cooking and cleaning and all that shit, because everybody has to clean their own home. Men are not excluded from that, even if you work and she doesn't. But you're both are going to most likely be working. You're both going to most likely be working to some level, right? And then you're going to have kids. Everybody's going to have to chip in. Whether y'all make a day where you all clean up your certain spaces, and yeah, she could be the leader of cleaning, but that don't mean you have to be the leader of making shit dirty just so she could clean it up. That's a negotiation. The only thing in your household that's non-negotiable is your leadership. So that's all I'm trying to say. Your new marriages in today's market are not cookie cutter, right? The man and a woman negotiate how they're going to live together, how they're going to do finances, how you're going to keep the household clean and fixed, how you want to raise your kids. Yeah, under your umbrella of your marriage, right? One of the things I tell people is, you know, the problem is too many men are too cavalier with the proposal. They offer their proposal to a woman for access to her sex and most of these surface and low energy traits that may appear they ignore, right? The sex ain't the reason why you marry a woman. It's got to be more than that, than her big butt and her ass. That shit is fleeting. You need to have something more important than that. Okay. So, men need to be more exclusive on who they offer a proposal to. There's no need to refute that, since we know men offer marriage proposals to beautiful women, whether they deserve one or not. That's not what we're talking about. Most of those proposals are based on all surface things. You just want eye candy on your arm. And we know those marriages don't last. And if she's just like an IG model with no money and you got money, you're going to get your ass kicked in court. You know, you're going to lose everything, so you're going to lose a lot, right? And you're going to be paying somebody you have no access to for years, sometimes in some states for the rest of her life. So you can't get married based on your ego and just because you want to have possession of a woman. It's, so listen, here's the thing you need to know. In general, a significant amount of women are never asked to be married in their whole entire lifetime. Too many men, black men in particular, lose sight of this fact that you are bestowing an honor on a woman you are asking to marry you. The modern woman will have you believe that she's doing you a favor by even entertaining the thought of your request. Do not be fooled. You are the gatekeeper. Your proposal is your superpower, not hers. And once again, it doesn't matter whether she says yes or no. If she says yes, rest assured that you have vetted her the best way you can. And if she says no, don't whine, don't beg, simply move on to the next candidate and start the vetting process all over again. Okay? That's what you need to do. Okay, so before I wrap up, there's one other major safeguard a man should do, especially if you have substantial assets before you get married. Let's just say you're 35, 40 years old, you accumulated a mini stash of money, you might inherit some wealth, you might have one or two properties, you might have a business, you might have things going that makes you eligible bachelor for the marriage marketplace. You got assets going in. You meet a chick. She meets your criteria. Okay. You have to properly craft a prenuptial agreement, and you must present that idea at the time of the proposal. Meaning that when you ask this woman to marry you, you got to let her know that you want a prenup agreement. So she has to give you two yeses, one to the marriage proposal and one to the prenuptial agreement. You cannot ask her to marry you and then wait 6 months later and say, oh, by the way, we need to have a prenup. You can't do it that way. If you want a prenup, you need to know at the time of the proposal and you need to give her that information up front. So if she says yes, she's saying yes to both. And if she refuses, then you must be prepared to rescind the marriage proposal and or the relationship altogether. You cannot let love and affection cloud your financial judgment in any state until the laws are changed. To you got to really be serious about this. Every I see there's some guys I know, they're getting married. You guys a little older, and he don't want no prenup because he feels that excuse me, that he's introducing negativity into the marriage, and that's not the case. It's an insurance policy. Some people don't want to get life insurance because they think they're calling in the spirits to kill them. That's you just consider that. It's not. I mean, I don't care how much you love this woman. Say you marry her, and then all your assets belong to her. And that you can't give anybody that kind of leverage over you in life, ever. Men need to learn that lesson. Women understand it all too well. Okay, listen, like me, I didn't have a prenup. When I got married in 1987, I didn't have anything, right? And so I wasn't thinking that way. Whatever I had, my wife could have. I didn't. But the times have changed, right? If I was to get married now, I would definitely have a prenup with a woman at my age. There's no doubt about it. I got a house, I got property, I got some savings, I got money, I got this and that. No, no way. I'm not gonna marry anybody without a prenup. And you pay for three, four, $5,000 to get a good one. Okay, you've made investment. It might be cheaper, but you made that investment before. So listen, you got to be smart about this thing. Men, know your worth and know that your marriage proposal is a signal to the woman that you of your choice, that she's above all others, and be sure that she understands your expectations of her, and she's grateful for the honor that you are bestowing upon her. You got to really she needs to understand that. Okay. So, uh, there's a couple other things, and we could go on and on, but you got to make sure that she realizes that. And uh, if you have any comments, feel free to question that. Let me know. Or paid marriage, politics, and sports over and out.